Okay, so I want to talk to you about how to get started with this camera, and there's so many bells and whistles on it, but the more familiar you are with it, the easier it'll get. I do have this sheet that I recommend you fill out, and there's actually several pages. So this is the top of the camera, and then I also have on the back more of the top because there's a little bit more there, and then also the back area and the side. So as I work through this, I'll be explaining more to you guys, but let's just work back up here. So obviously you probably figured this out for yourself, and I'm sure you hopefully saw the last video about the lens. You have to make sure it's set on manual when you're not focusing it. So let's quickly walk through. This is the focusing lens, which again, the focusing dial, when it's set to auto, it'll automatically focus when it's on. And if it's set to manual, you need to manually focus it by turning this. Don't turn this if it's set to auto, because you will break the lens and then you owe us $120 or whatever to replace it with a new one. This is the zoom, and this actually changes. It doesn't really, it does zoom, but it also sets it to either a normal mode for the lens or to a wide angle mode. So it makes it look like things are further away, but it also lets you take a picture where more things are in the photo. So that's kind of a neat thing to know about. Other things on the sheet that are good to be aware of, and I'm just going to go over this. This is the flash, the hot shoe attachment up here. So if you ever wanted to add a flash to the camera, you can go ahead and do that. We don't generally do that, although there is a flash already attached to the camera. So this is the flash right here, and if I'll set it to something that'll give me one. You can see that when I put it on auto, for example. Oh, it's not popping up. I'm surprised. Here, I'll make this dark. There you go. So when I take a picture, the flash would normally fire if it was kind of dark in the room. It's not firing right now because I guess it's not dark enough. But that's the flash, and you just close it when you're not using it. And I actually never take pictures with the flash, by the way. This is the mode dial, and for the most part, we're going to focus on 3 modes: P, S, and A. If you're an advanced photographer, you sometimes use M or manual. What I generally don't use are these modes over here, just because there's nothing wrong with these modes. It's just they're kind of for the beginner photographer. And then also the info dial. So let me explain what that is. And the control dial. So the control dial, first of all, is right here, and the info dial is here. So what's the info dial for? Well, you'll see that there's information on the screen right here. And if I wait, I'll count 1, 1,000, 2, yep, see, it goes away. The camera's not off, but that went away. So to get it back, instead of turning the camera back on and off, that's the way the camera's saving battery time. You press the info button and it pops back up. Ta-da! And then what you can do is, while it's in this mode, if you use the mode dial or the control wheel, that's what it's called, and you move this back and forth, depending on what mode, I'll put it on something that'll show me, depending on what mode I have it at, you can see that I can turn this and I can actually alter the settings of the camera using the control dial. So the mode dial and the control dial work together in tandem, and I'll walk you through more about that. So those are the basic controls at the top of the camera. Obviously I'm skipping stuff like the exposure compensation dial. This, I'll just go over this, it's not on your camera, but on your sheet, but I'll talk about it. If you're taking a picture with a single frame, you set it to S, and if I go ahead and let's take a picture, and I'll put this on autofocus, and I'll take a picture of my hand. How exciting. Can't see that, but that's what's happening. Oh, that's gonna be a long exposure. So if I wanted to, I could set it to take multiple pictures. So if I set it like that, and you'll just listen for this, set it for a really fast shutter speed. See that? See, like multiple clicks, it's taking multiple pictures. I can also set it to the self timer, and actually I can change it between 2 seconds and 10 seconds. There's a way in the manual mode to do that. So if I want to do a self timer, I can do that. So if I want to like be in the shot or do something that involves something to that effect, I can do that. And honestly, I'm trying to remember what Q stands for. I don't really remember. I'll have to look it up in the manual. But for now, pretty much you're just going to keep it on S. and occasionally, if you're doing something with action photography, this one, or if you want to get a self-timer shot.